Parshat Yitro contains the greatest divine revelation in history, Har Sinai. The parasha begins on a note that is very human and very relatable. Yitro, Moshe's father-in-law and the priest of Midian, saw that Moshe is leading Bnei Israel alone and becomes concerned. Yitro tells Moshe, "What you are doing is not good." This is one of the only places in the Torah that the phrase "not good" or "lo tov" appears. The other time this phrase appears is in Bereshit Parak Bet. It says, "It is not good for man to be alone." From both of these instances where the words "lo tov" appear, we learn that we cannot lead alone and we cannot live alone. An English author and priest once defined religion as what an individual does with his own solitude. Rabbi Sachs says that this is not a Jewish thought. However, it was the Netziv who made an unexpected observation on the exchange between Moshe and Yitro. He begins by raising the following question. It is easy to understand how Yitro's advice helped Moshe. The work was too much, he was becoming exhausted, and he needed help. What is less easy to understand is his final comment. If with God's permission you delegate, so too all these people will reach their place in peace. The people were not exhausted, Moshe was. How, then, would they gain by a system of delegation that Yitro was proposing? Their case would still be heard, but not by Moshe. How is this to their advantage? Netziv begins his answer by quoting a Gemara, Sanhedrin 6b. The passage is about what the Chachamim called bitzu'ah, or what later became known as compromise. This is the decision on the part of a judge in a civil case to seek a solution based on equity, rather than the strict application of the law. It is not unlike mediation, in which the parties agree to a resolution that they both consider fair, regardless of whether or not it is based on statute or precedent. From a different perspective, it is a mode of conflict resolution in which both sides gain, rather than the pure administration of justice in which one side wins, the other loses. The Gemara wants to know, is this good or bad? The law follows Rabbi Yehuda ben Korcha, who says that it is permissible, even preferable, to mediate, but with one condition, that the judge does not yet know who is right and who is wrong. It is precisely this uncertainty at the early stages of a hearing that allows an equitable resolution to be favored over a strictly legal one. If the judge has already reached a clear resolution, it would be a suppression of justice on his part to favor a compromise solution. Applying this principle to Bnei Israel, the Netziv points out, as the Gemara says, Moshe preferred strict justice to peace. He was not a man to compromise or mediate. In addition, as the greatest of the Nevi'im, he knew almost instantly which of the parties before him were innocent and which were guilty. It was therefore impossible for him to mediate, since this is only permitted before the judge has reached the verdict, which in Moshe's case was almost immediately. Hence the Netziv's conclusion. By delegating the judicial functions downward, as Yitro suggested, Moshe would bring ordinary people with no special prophetic or legal gifts into the seats of judgment. Precisely because they lacked Moshe's intuitive knowledge of law and justice, they were able to propose equitable solutions, and an equitable solution is one in which both sides feel that they have been heard, both gain, both believe that the result is fair. That, as the Gemara says, is the only kind of justice that at the same time creates peace. That is why the delegation of judgment would not only help Moshe avoid total exhaustion, but it would also help all these people, as Yitro says, to reach their place in peace. Moshe was the Isha Elokim, the supreme man of God. Yet there was, as the Netziv implies, one thing he could not do, which others, less great in every other respect, could achieve. They could bring peace between contending parties. They could create non-violent, non-coercive forms of conflict resolution. Not knowing the law with the depth that Moshe did, not having his intuitive sense of truth, they had instead to exercise patience. They had to listen to both sides and arrive at an equitable verdict that both sides could see as fair. A mediator has different gifts from a prophet, a liberator, a lawgiver. More modest, perhaps, but sometimes no less necessary. It is not that one character type is to be preferred to another. Rather, it is that no one individual can embody all the virtues necessary to sustain a people. What emerges at the end of the train of thought that the Netziv sets in motion is an idea that we can all learn from. The idea that we can neither live nor lead alone. An idea that we also get from the usage of the words lo tov in Yitro's speech. Judaism is a social faith. It is about networks of relationship, it is about families, communities, and ultimately, it is about a nation, in which each of us, great or small, has a role to play. There was something ordinary individuals could achieve that even Moshe could not achieve. And like Moshe, recognizing a situation in which others can give more than you, and understanding when help from others is beneficial, is crucial to the improvement of a society, that we accept and invite this help. That is why a nation is greater than any individual, and why each of us has something to give.